So I had this like youth worker, and her name's Sandra, and she's quite well known sort of around LGBT Youth Scotland. I think she noticed that I just wasn't my usual self, so she sat me down for like an hour, in this quiet room, and we just chatted, and I felt like I got so much like off my chest, everything I needed to, and she gave me this massive motivational speech about like how I should love myself and, you know, maybe try different pronouns like he, him, which I've been using for the last 2 years, and I feel automatically better now, like than I used to ever. I'm at like such a high point, mostly because of her.
When I first came out in Glasgow, there was no professional youth group organisation, but there was a small group of young people who were a self-organised youth group. They had no resources. They would borrow meeting rooms from week to week, and when you phoned up the lesbian and gay switchboard, you would get told the secret signal to go and look for. People would be standing outside the GFT holding a blue folder, and you had to look for the person holding the blue folder. And there was probably a couple of dozen folk involved regularly in this group, and it made a huge difference to me to have that organisation, that group, that support network to go along to once or twice a week. And so I would say that my purple heroes are all of the young people who made that group happen and who kept it going.
My Sunday school teacher was amazing, and she supported me the whole way. She's walked out of things because people told me I couldn't attend it because I was transgender, and she really was like the rock in my transition in the early stages. And after I moved on from that church, and I didn't go to church for about 3 years, I've just started back at new church in my area. I still remember what she would tell me, and I still remember to hold my head up high.
Yeah, my purple hero this year is absolutely the 13-year-old constituent of mine who got in touch because she's an LGBT young person. She's been delivering assemblies to all the year groups in her school about LGBT young people, and she wanted to get involved more broadly in the campaign for inclusive education in schools. I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. I only left school a few years ago, and whilst it was getting better for LGBT young people then, there were very few 13-year-olds willing to deliver assemblies to hundreds of other young people at a time.
I think the first person would have to be my mum, because when I came out to her, she laughed because it reminded her of a scene from the Catherine Tate show. Where she said that her son was a gay man now. Yeah. I don't really know what response I was expecting. To be honest, at first I couldn't really get the words out. So I think eventually I wrote it on a note on my phone and showed it to her.
So my purple hero would be Ellen DeGeneres. And the reason I would pick Ellen is certainly throughout my adult lifetime there haven't been enough openly gay, visible women in society, in wider culture, in our everyday lives. And when I was younger, I kind of watched Ellen, who had this hit TV show, hide from her sexuality for a long time, and then when she faced up to it in that well-known sitcom Ellen, she faced a huge amount of criticism and actually took a massive knock to her career and lost a lot of what she had because of her sexuality. But look at her now, look at her life now, and what an absolute bastion for LGBT values, for campaigning, for the achievements that our community have had over the years. So she's my purple hero.
I came out to like my whole entire school, like technically kind of, like people knew, but like I proper like mentioned it during like this Christmas service and like had this big speech and all that. And after it, like, someone else came out as trans, and so many people were like hugging me and thanking me, and like I just wasn't expecting that. And like in the speech, I put that like I want to be someone that people can look up to. Like I want like just for people to know that it's okay, and that you're not weird and you're not different. Like you're just you. You just need to embrace that, and it doesn't matter what other people say. And if I could be that help to make someone realise that, then that's great.
I want to go into ministry. It's a big dream of mine to go on to be a minister, not only as a trans person but as a disabled person, because there's nobody really who has obvious physical disabilities who is a minister, which would be really good, I think, because it sees a different side to life, and not everyone's the same, and not everyone in your congregation is the same.
Well, I'm delighted to be a purple hero, and I hope I can live up to that. And how I want to express that and live up to that is just trying to lead by example. I want a Scotland where everybody feels that they can be who they are. And, you know, as First Minister, I've got an opportunity to be very public about that aspiration, but also to make sure we have the laws and the environment in which that can be a reality. One of the proudest days of my entire time in Parliament was the day we passed the Equal Marriage Act. And I was proud to be the minister that started that consultation that led to that legislation. So each and every day, all of us should stand up for the rights of people to be themselves and to be proud of who they are.
There's been a couple people from the Falkirk youth group who have come to me first when they've been coming out, because, well, there was a trans girl, for instance. She was in her 20s, I was 15, and she came out to me first because our old youth worker had said, if you want to come out to someone, Megan's really understanding and she will take what you say and she will just accept you from the word go. She's come back and told me if it wasn't for tiny little child me being so accepting, that she probably wouldn't be as confident, and she wouldn't be as confident as she is now, and she wouldn't be going to college as herself, that she'd probably still be under the radar.
So I'm really conscious that as an openly gay leader of a political party, you could consider that in some way enough, just to be visible, to be seen. But I feel a greater responsibility to tackle the inequality and discrimination that LGBT people face now because I'm out, exactly because I'm out. So I'm trying to find as many different means and ways of doing that as I possibly can. So I devote a lot of my time to what are called cross-party groups. In the Scottish Parliament, we now have one on LGBTI issues. I also chair one on sexual health and bloodborne viruses, and do some other work around children and young people. But really just to be an advocate for our cause, to stand up for the values of equality and progress for LGBT people, not just here in the UK, but around the world.
I've actually been looking into youth work, apprenticeships and stuff, because it was something I used to think about a lot. I was like, oh, I'd really like to do that, but I'm not the most academic person, so I was like, I don't think I could go and do a college route. But there's the modern apprenticeships and stuff, and it gives me the option to work with the group I'm a part of as a youth worker. That would be my dream job, I think. Definitely, because I've had so much help from youth workers myself, I'd love to be able to kind of give that back to someone else, and because I've got the personal experience and stuff, I feel it would be a bit more, not that it's not genuine, but more relatable.
I don't know, just my story's not pure amazing and influential, it's just kind of I came out as gay, realised that was weird and didn't suit me, came out as trans, realised that it was more me, and then just kind of went on, people accepted me, accepted me, but I want people to realise that no matter it doesn't matter if you come out 10,000 times, totally confused as who you are, as long as one day you figure it out and you're happy with that, then that's all that really matters, isn't it?
Scotland belongs to all of us, and we've all got a stake in making it an inclusive country where everybody gets to be themselves and to fulfil their potential. And for any community that can be vulnerable to discrimination and prejudice, I feel really strongly it's not just for people in that community to stand up for that, it's for all of us to stand with them and fight for inclusion and tolerance and respect and diversity. So every single person has a stake in this and should pledge to be purple heroes themselves.